up. Excellent. Okay, very good. All right, this is the second of two currently planned endorsement meetings for local candidates. And we have a wonderful list of candidates today that we are honored to have a number of celebrities and political stars with us, and up and coming young shooting stars also. So without much further ado, we will begin our speeches, but first, just a brief presentation of the format. Each individual candidate will be allocated 10 minutes worth of time. They can choose to speak during all of those 10 minutes and present whatever they have, biographical information. If they have any presentation on graphics, etc., we can try to integrate that. They can speak about their goals, their values, their prior experience, etc. During that 10-minute time period, you can allocate as much as you want towards the actual presentation of your information. And any residual time that you like and can be allocated to questions from the floor. We may have some questions specifically from members, and we may have some questions that were from the chat. So a number of different formats. We can also have the press and the general public ask questions. However, each candidate will have a total of 10 minutes worth of time period. At the 9.5-minute time period, my digital timer will go off and I'll indicate that the time period has 30 seconds left for that individual candidate. If any candidate wants to have a time period told by me, say for example at 5 minutes, you want to present for 5 minutes and then have 5 minutes worth of questions, please, when you begin your presentation, say what warning time periods you like. Otherwise, we'll default at 9 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay, I think that's pretty much all we need. Questions from the floor and from the chat will be limited to 45 seconds each. We would like the candidates to respond to any individual question within a 2-minute time period. This is what we used on our prior meeting, and it was quite successful, and that's what we'll be using as a format tonight. So with no further ado, we want to present our first candidate, which is Hayden Sidun for Livermore School Board.
Yeah.
Hayden, the floor is yours.
Beautiful. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Yeah, great. Okay, well, good evening, and thank you very much for having me. It's an honor to speak to the Tri-Valley Democratic Club and ask for your endorsement in my school board election. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Hayden Sidun. I'm 18 years old, an 11-year resident of Livermore, and a product of Livermore Public Schools. I graduated early from Granada High School this year after 10 years in Livermore School District, and now I'm studying political science at Las Positas College. I've been involved in multiple political campaigns, including Bob Warner for mayor in 2020, and currently Sean Kumagai for assembly. And I've been involved in multiple local organizations, including Livermore Pride and Congressman Eric Swalwell's Remedy PAC. I was a member of Livermore's Equity and Inclusion Working Group, where I worked with the City Council and other community members to address racial inequality in Livermore. And I served as an intern in the district office of Assembly Member Rebecca Bauer-Cahan this past summer. I was also briefly involved with the Tri-Valley Democratic Club in 2021. And I'm now running for Livermore School Board as the youngest candidate for public office in the Bay Area and the candidate with the most recent direct experience in Livermore schools. I was inspired to run for school board after watching a meeting in February during which parents attended and bombarded the school board with anti-mask and anti-vaccine comments. I spoke at that meeting saying that wearing a mask is akin to wearing pants. And the next day I got a note from my principal agreeing with my analogy and thanking me for speaking at the meeting. People listen to students and young voices, but that can only happen if young people step up to make themselves heard. There are multiple reasons why I'm running for school board, but I think the main reason is that we need more young people at the table. Livermore, to my knowledge, has never elected a recent graduate to the school board, and to me, that's a problem. Young people deserve a seat at the table. Our students deserve someone with shared experiences on the school board. But as a student, I've also seen how the school board's decisions play out in the classroom and affect teachers and students alike, especially during COVID. And I can use that experience to inform my decision-making process in a way that no other candidate or trustee can. That's valuable insight that Livermore would be deprived of if I lose this election. People never let me forget how important young people are in our political systems. To my knowledge, if elected, I would be the youngest trustee in LVUSD history and the only recent graduate to serve, and the importance of that is not lost on me. But I'm also running for my siblings who are in elementary school in Livermore and will be Livermore students for years to come. They and Livermore's more than 13,000 students deserve a school board trustee who has walked in their shoes, and it is my hope that Livermore schools will be better off because of it. This race is also very personal to me. I'm running to serve my schools, my community, my former teachers, my neighbors, and even my former classmates who are still in Livermore schools. As a former LVJUSD student, I am best positioned to serve on the school board because I have existing relationships with teachers, students, and school administrators. In other words, the people I would be serving on the school board. But I also have existing relationships with Livermore's mayor and city council members, Chabot Las Positas trustees, and our state and federal representatives, including Assembly Member Rebecca Bauer-Cahan and Congressman Swalwell. In fact, my campaign has been endorsed by Assembly Member Matt Haney, as well as Livermore Council members Trish Monroe and Brittany Kick, CLP CCD trustee Harris Mojadidi, San Leandro School Board President James Aguilar, San Francisco Democratic Party Chair Honey Mahogany, the Alameda Labor Council, and the California High School Democrats, among others. And tonight I will be speaking to the East Bay Stonewall Democratic Club as the only candidate to seek their endorsement, because I recognize that building a more inclusive community means giving the LGBTQ community a seat at the table. And that starts in our public education system. These are a good mix of elected officials, educators, youth leaders, LGBTQ leaders, and political organizations on the local and state levels because I am trusted to deliver results for Livermore schools. Now, recently it was brought to my attention that some local Democratic clubs were concerned about my party registration because I was a registered independent and no party preference voter. And I'd like to start this by saying that I am a registered Democrat and I'm prepared to prove it to anyone who challenges that fact. So please allow me to explain. When I first pre-registered to vote, shortly after I turned 16, I registered as a Democrat because I believed then what I believe now. The Democratic Party is the only party that will advocate for everyday Americans, particularly the working class. But I've long been an opponent of the two-party system and find it ineffective. So earlier this year, before I knew I would be running for office, I re-registered as an independent because I didn't want to contribute to the political division that affects our nation by being a member of one of the two major political parties. And when I changed my registration, I vowed that I would continue my work to elect Democratic candidates up and down the ballot. But throughout 2022, as I watched the Supreme Court strip constitutional rights away from the American people and watched the minority party in Congress restrict the flow of progressive common sense legislation, I realized that being a registered independent may be complicit in this. And being a Democrat tells people that I support a woman's right to choose, that I support the right of same-sex couples to get married and adopt children, that I support common sense gun control to keep weapons of war out of our communities, particularly our schools. It tells people that I stand for the right of Black people to live without fear of being arrested at a traffic light or murdered in their own homes. It tells people that I unapologetically stand for American values because Democratic Party values are American values. And even after I made the decision to run for school board, I intended to remain a registered independent, and not just because this is a nonpartisan election. Educational issues are not and should never be partisan issues. The things we do with regard to education directly impact every student from all backgrounds, and they have a direct consequence on the future of our society. And let me be very clear, we cannot afford to politicize our education system, but I can still keep our education system responsible and apolitical as a Democrat, and that is what I intend to do. Now, our children depend on us to make the right decisions, and they depend on their parents to elect the right people. And it bothers me every day that the people who will be most affected by my actions on the school board are not the people who can vote for me in this election. That's why I'm running. I want our students to have a voice in their education. It's simply not enough that we have student trustees acting in an advisory role. We must have someone on the school board who has sat in those classrooms, listened to those lectures, played on those playgrounds, hid during those shooter drills, and molded their daily routine around a bell schedule. And I find it incredible that out of over 13,000 students, I'm the only one who stepped up to run. But I think that only highlights the immense importance of my candidacy, because what my candidacy might mean to your teenager who likes politics or to your elementary schooler who dreams of success is more important to me than winning this election. But winning this election would allow me to help your teenager and your elementary schooler and every other student get to where they want to go in life. Now, I could spend all day talking to you about my campaign platform, but in the end, serving our students is all that really matters. And sure, we can have a parent or a teacher serve, and I'll concede that there are some incredible parents and teachers on the Livermore School Board, and even one running against me. And the passion and desire of all of my opponents to serve our community and our students is incredible and inspiring. But our students deserve a school board trustee who has been a student in Livermore schools. someone who understands their perspective and can advocate for them and their needs accordingly. And that's why it deeply troubles me to see some of the things some of my opponents are saying. Some of them want to get rid of masks and have an all-out war on the COVID vaccine. But let me tell you, I'm triple vaccinated against COVID and wore a mask throughout the entire pandemic. And even though in my line of work in customer service, I was exposed to people with COVID left and right, but I've never once tested positive for COVID. Now that tells me two things. One, that the science behind wearing a mask is true and that masks are effective. And two, that the COVID vaccine works and all the time spent researching and testing it paid off. And I will support and enforce whatever guidance the county, state, and federal governments hand down with regards to masks and vaccines, because I would be legally obliged to do so, but also because it would be my duty and theirs to keep our children safe. And it is baffling to me that some people are still battling scientific fact. But let me tell you another thing that sets me apart from my opponents. If you look at my website, sidunforlvjusd.com, you'll see that I have a comprehensive campaign platform with specific issues and solutions to those issues, because I want voters to know who I am, what I stand for, and what I would do for them. But what sets my platform apart from my opponents is that it has been vetted, reviewed, refined, and approved by teachers, parents, students, and even a sitting school board trustee. And whether I'm the most qualified candidate for this position is up to you, but at least you know who I am and what I stand for. So what do I stand for? Well, my platform has 4 key components that cover a plethora of issues. I want to work with local providers, district staff, and other local governmental entities to address mental health by expanding access to mental health services, creating safe spaces in our schools, and promoting the new 988 hotline, which was recently passed by the legislature. I want to revamp our curriculum by bringing in new funding for new textbooks and technologies, providing more representation for marginalized groups in curriculum and clubs, offering real world language courses, and promoting a financial literacy course. I want to work with the Livermore City Council, the Livermore Area Youth Advisory Commission, college districts, and our police and fire departments to create pathways to success for our students, create more volunteer opportunities in schools and the community for our students and parents, ensure our students and school staff are safe in the event of an emergency, like a fire or a shooting, and build and offer affordable housing for our families and our underpaid teachers. I will also pledge to maintain an open line of communication with the community by keeping my inbox open to all community members and making myself available and accessible to the community and listening to the thoughts, opinions, and requests of all community members. My name is Hayden Sidun. That's who I am, that's what I stand for, and that's what I will hit the ground running to get done for all Livermore students, families, and school staff from day one. But I can only do that with the support of my community. And building that coalition of support continues with the endorsement of the Tri-Valley Democratic Club. So visit my website, sidunforlvjusd.com, learn more about me and what I stand for, and please donate whatever you can to help us win this election for our students. Thank you all for your time and consideration.
30 seconds left. Do we have any questions from the floor?
And I put my website in the chat just for everyone's reference.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you very much for that lovely presentation.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I raised my hand. I guess
Okay.
you didn't see it.
Didn't see it.
Okay, yes.
Question?
Yes, I just have a couple of questions. And Hayden, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
You're obviously a very bright young man, and I'm glad you stepped up to run. Just a couple questions. One is, who is your competition? I don't know if you're by district over in Livermore, but if you have particular competition, let me know what that is, who that is, I should say. And second, you said you're a student at Las Positas College. That's wonderful, great school. And I wondered if you go ahead and if you were to win, it's a 4-year term. And so what would you plan to do with, Las Positas being a 2-year college? Do you plan to go to school locally afterwards? Maybe you can address that.
Yeah, so I'll address the second question first because that's a question I get a lot. My plan unequivocally is to remain in the Bay Area. The farthest I'd go is probably Sacramento, but that's still within a reasonable distance. I'm looking at San Francisco State right now, but of course the Bay Area and Sacramento area have some wonderful colleges. But I wouldn't be running for a 4-year term if I weren't in it for the long run, right? And that's what I intend to do. To address your first question, here in Livermore, it is 3 at-large seats up for election. We do not go by district. I have 8 opponents currently. I have 3 incumbents running against me. Craig Bueno, who's the president of the school board, Ann White, who's been on there since 1990, and Emily Prusso. I have a few opponents who, as I said, don't believe in masks or vaccines or any of that who wouldn't follow that
Okay.
guidance, or at least indicate that they would. And
We're at 12 minutes. We're going to terminate at this point, and we
Sure.
thank you very much for your question, Valerie, and for your fine response and your fine presentation.
thank you very much. I
Okay.
appreciate the time.
Very good. I'm going to make a quick note here that we do not vote on the endorsement for individual candidates after their presentation. We vote for individual candidates at the end of all of the presentations. There will be one ballot that will be available to you, and you can indicate endorse or not endorse for each individual rather than a group ballot. Okay, so at this point, we'd like to bring in Melissa Herandez, a candidate for the mayor of Dublin and actually is the incumbent. Melissa, the floor is yours for 10 minutes. Did you have any specific time period at which you would like a warning as to how much time you have remaining?
No, I was actually just going to introduce myself. I didn't have a very lengthy speech, but I would be able to answer some questions if any folks had some questions for me. So I want to thank you for the time. I can move forward. Can you see me as well?
I cannot see you at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, there we
Okay,
are.
good. My
Okay, very
video's
good.
on and my speaker's on. So
Yes.
for most of you that do not know me, my name is Melissa Herandez and I'm the mayor of the city of Dublin. And I would like to thank not only the Tri-Valley Dems, but also the members that are in this club that have supported me for my last couple terms that I run for not only for city council, but also for mayor. And some, a few notes that I would like to just make the members that are here this afternoon and this evening aware of is that I am dedicated to our city of Dublin. I'm honored to have been able to serve for as many years that I have. And I look forward to working in our city of Dublin once again for another couple years. As many of you may know that I am running unopposed. And I'm running unopposed because of a few things. I feel that our city has done an amazing job with being able to run a city efficiently and also run a city with just a great council. So I appreciate my council as well. But just a little bit about myself. I've been in Dublin for over 22, 23 years. And I am the mother of two children. And also the fact that I've been privileged to serve on our council. I'm going on my 7th year, and to be able to participate in this maintaining and also to maintain the great life that we have here in our city. And so I'm honored to have been able to provide great leadership for the last several years, and also to have just great ideas moving forward, not only by myself, but with my council as well. And so some of the efforts that I've moved forward since mayor of the city of Dublin for the last couple of years is obviously, as you know, that we've come into the last election with being in full on COVID and leading efforts to be able to bring sustainability and fiscally responsibilities to our small businesses to be able to help them during these very difficult times. And so also being able to have our own particular city staff to be able to provide the flexibility, to provide them with the tools that they need to be able to have us be a full, efficient running city, but also leading the efforts to ensure city decision-making is transparent and fiscally accountable. In these difficult financial times, our city continues to maintain a healthy emergency reserves as a budget with a budget surplus. And then also establish Dublin as a green city, sustainable for our future generations, including developing a climate action plan to become carbon neutral by 2045 and switching our electricity supply to renewable solar and wind sources and utilizing solar garage cans. So those are items that we have worked together as a council, but also as a chair member of our East Bay Community Energy. And then I am ecstatic to share not only with the city of Dublin, but also with the Tri-Valley, that we champion to invest in services with mental health. I could say that I'm very proud that the city of Dublin, with our partnership, took the lead on creating its first ever mental health urgent care service to help people through acute crisis. The city also started a behavioral health unit in our police services to ensure that we can better support not only our families, but all of the residents that live within our city. And so at the same time, we prevent tragedies and support our police officers maintaining our quality service for the most vulnerable in our community, such as our seniors, our veterans, and our domestic violence victims, is my top priority. So as I like to explain, that we are celebrating our 40th anniversary here in our corporation in our city of Dublin. And I want to keep the tradition of keeping Dublin such a great city, and to also preserve our open spaces, our parks, our schools, and our neighborhoods, serving our businesses. And so as we know that our small businesses have been struggling the last couple of years, I know that myself, our city council, and also our staff has done an amazing job to be able to help all of our businesses in need, not only just with financial assistance, but also with being able to help them pivot to being able to have outdoor dining, to be able to work with them with permits, to be able to work with them with the parking stalls that are needed, and also minus during this time. But at the end of the day, my priority as the mayor of Dublin is to be fiscally responsible. And my top priority is to keep our citizens safe in our community, to make sure that when they come home to their city of Dublin, that they feel comfortable being able to go out, being able to talk to their neighbors, to be able to walk down the street and to feel that they are safe in their community. And then also making sure that we as a council and also the city mayor is to make sure that we're being fiscally responsible with regards to making the right decisions, not only in a particular topic, but as a city as a whole, and looking at the entire city versus just one area. So again, I wish I was in a better area to be able to have this evening tonight where you guys can visually see me a little bit better, but I've been going from meeting to meeting, and I would be honored to have your endorsement once again, as I have in the past. And I thank you for your time.
Well, thank you for that wonderful presentation, Mayor Herandez. And we do have 3 minutes left. If there's any questions, Jackie? If Jackie is here, can you?
I am here.
Can you call up those based on whatever criteria you have?
Let's see, I see one question from Sean Kumagai. His hand is raised.
Yeah, I was thinking about Sean.
Hi,
Okay.
Sean.
Hi, Melissa. Thanks for presenting. Of course, I think it's a testament to your leadership that you're running unopposed, but nevertheless, it's important that you come before, your home club here, the Tri-Valley Dems, to seek their endorsement. And it's been a pleasure working with you. I wholeheartedly endorse you. And I thank you for all your leadership in terms of economic development. We sit together on the Economic Development Committee, and it's been great to see just your leadership, because you're out and about in the community. And one thing you didn't mention is the delivery fee cap that you brought before our council. Can you talk a little bit about that? I thought that was very important during the height of the pandemic.
Yes, thank you. We had a lot of business owners that were very concerned with extra fees that were being attached, especially during COVID, as they had to deliver to residents that wanted to be able to support our small businesses, but also wanted to be able to have some food delivered to them. And I brought this forward because I felt that it was important. Not only it was actually hurting our businesses, but it was important for us to be able to put a fee cap on the Uber Eats and the other DoorDash and all the other businesses that were making a lot of money, and a lot of they were actually making more money than some of our restaurants with regards to all the fees that were associated. But it was important to be able to have their residents to understand that some of these businesses were also being taken advantage of. DoorDash and Uber Eats, they actually have a different menu fee on their website if you were to order from them versus just ordering straight from the restaurant and picking it up. But I also understand that many individuals probably could not drive there or didn't have the means to go, even though they wanted to support our local businesses, they didn't have the means to get from point A to point B. And I think that's really important that not only did we bring that forward, but also other cities followed. And I always say that Dublin is at many times the leader on bringing things forward, and other cities follow. And I think that's great representation to say that we're not afraid to bring new things and new ideas to council. And then it's great to also have the rest of the Tri-Valley to be able to follow.
Thank you so much for this presentation, and thank you, Mr. Kumagai, for your question. Very good. Now, we do have our next candidate, which is Mony Knopp. He's a candidate for the mayor of Livermore. Mony, you have your 10 minutes now. Did you want a warning at any particular time period, or the default 9:30? Is Mony with us now? Mony, if you're there, could you unmute?
Yes, you could warn me at 9:30, or you could warn me at any time.
Okay, 9:30. Great, very much. The floor is yours, Mr. Knopp.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to all of you. Once again, it's good to see a lot of you here. I want to start by sharing my story about why I want to run for to be the next mayor of Livermore. And part of it, the majority, the biggest reason for me is that for me, it's about what Livermore has done for me. Most of you have heard a little bits and pieces of my story, but I grew up in the killing fields of Cambodia. I spent 6 years in a little shack with 4 stilts above ground, with no running water or electricity or food. And I lived that way for the first 6 years of my life. And then, 6 million people were slaughtered during the first 6 years of my life. At the age of 6, I ended up walking to Thailand, and then while bombs going off, people getting shot and maimed, dead bodies all over the place, just like what people are experiencing in Ukraine right now. Ended up in the refugee camps in Thailand for 4 years, and then got transferred to the final refugee camps in the Philippines, where I lived in a tropical forest for about 9 months, where I hunt for my own food every day with my father. And at times I would climb the mountains at the age of 9 and trade for rice and for potatoes with the Filipinos. I came to the United States in 1983. I did not speak a word of English. The first thing I did was I learned how to ride a girl's bicycle, a pink one with 1 pedal, and I learned how to ride a bigger bicycle after that. And then a week later, my older sister and I started dumpster diving with apartment complex near us. And we would bring those aluminum cans back and then save them later for money. A year later, from Tempe, Arizona, we moved to Stockton, California, where a lot of Cambodian people were there, have there. And there's also agricultural land, which is very similar to Cambodia. So went up there, lived there for the next 14 years. I became a child laborer in the field with the Hispanics and worked all the way to Oregon. I picked every fruits and vegetables you could imagine, making $20 a day. And at times I would find myself sleeping in the rows of the cucumbers and the strawberries and the cherries and the onions and the garlic and all that. And that's how we make ends meet. And once we arrived in Stockton, my father became a gambling alcoholic. My mother would go with him, and they would travel together to gamble. And so that meant that they left us to fend for ourselves as children. So I learned how to sign my own father's signature since 3rd grade. I made it through school, skipped 4 grades in school, and graduated at the age of 17. But at the age of 16, I wanted to become a police officer. And because I met a police captain that that really truly changed my life. And I want to become a police officer, but I didn't realize that it would take, you have to take a written test to get into the police academy. Well, I kept trying. It took me the next 4 years. I finally passed the test, and I got, I received the passing score, and I entered into the police academy. And right before I graduated, because I lived in a bad neighborhood where drugs and violence is a way of life, I was accused of a drive-by shooting suspect. I had to clear my name, and I cleared my name almost a year later. And that's when, on December 4th, 1995, Livermore hired me as a police officer at the age of 22. That day, you guys, changed my entire life and the life of my family. And that I will not forget. So because of that, Livermore, it's been holds such a special place for me that I've always wanted to give back. So my family and I, in order to do that, we sponsor community events. We work in the school. We do, for example, at Joe Mitchell School, we've been doing for about 7 years now, where we provide a teachers' baskets every month for the teachers. And then we also host, sponsor a couple luncheons for them on us every year as a business owner. We host multiple nonprofit events at our home just to give back to our community. So these are the kind of things that we do. And that's why I wanted to become the next mayor, because I've always served. My life has always been about service. So I want to give back to our community if there's an opportunity to do so. So some of my experience include, I just volunteered my time in the community, a soccer coach, a basketball coach. I've served on multiple nonprofit organizations and served at various leadership levels, to include being the mini grant chair for my Rotary Club, being the former vice president and co-founder of the Tri-Valley Nonprofit Alliance, and which a lot of you may have heard of, but we are now serving over 4 nonprofit organizations. I also served in 2020 as the Public Policy Committee Chair for the Asian Real Estate Association of America, where I help lead delegations to meet with members of Congress to speak on housing and lending issues for the Asian American and other minority groups. In fact, the honor of my life was in 2020, I hosted a virtual public policy summit where I got to interview the great Norman Mineta for about 35 minutes. That was one of the honors of my life, and he's my hero. And also now I'm just a small business owner. I've been at it as a realtor, and with a couple of agents and part-time employees working for me. I've been at it for 15 years, and that's what I've been doing in my community. My top priorities for this election to include increased access to affordable housing. I think that's really, really important. I grew up really, really poor, and I want to see more affordable housing at various income level for many, many people in our community, including my own children one day, that they could stay here too. The second one is it's increasing public safety. As a former law enforcement officer of 17 years, that is such an important matter to me, that I would like to see our city being safe now and continue to be safe always. That's considered to be one of the best things that any city can provide, is safety to the residents. Third is addressing issues of that unhoused. How do we do that? Take a look at what are some of the solutions we take a look at. We look at what can we do now to support the services that the churches and different other groups are doing for the community now. They'll take a look at including temporary housing and also permanent housing, but more importantly, how do we take a look at it in the long term? Can there be a regional solutions with all the other city mayors and county supervisors and state reps, that we could work together? Maybe we can come up with a solution where we could all work together and make a mini houses concept a bigger project where it could house so many more people and help so many more people with wraparound services. And my last one is I just think there's a huge opportunity for Livermore to bring high-paying jobs and become a job hub in Livermore. Because when you think about it, most people every day, and there's some super commuters out there that are spending 3 to 4 hours a day just crossing from the Central Valley right through us every day to the Silicon Valley. I just think that within our Tri-Valley in itself, and especially in Livermore, we could be the hub of all jobs in this area. There's so much opportunity in that arena, and I would love to work with the Economic Innovation Department to see what kind of assets do we have now, and what kind of complementary assets or businesses that we could bring here to our Tri-Valley, to Livermore and a Tri-Valley, opportunity to do that.
Thank you for that fine presentation. We do have 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. Would you be open to answering questions?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Knopp. And Ms. Secretary, do you have any questionnaires?
I do not see anybody with their hands raised. I do not see any questions in the chat. But I guess I'll go ahead and pose the question since I don't see any others. I hear of some projects going on in Pleasanton where they're looking at the mall and maybe reusing that or changing the permit use in that area for housing instead of the mall, which people are shopping online. Is there any of that? I'm not really familiar with any kind of commercial issues going on in the city of Livermore. Do you know if there's discussion about repurposing maybe space that is not being used right now for businesses back into residential?
1.5 minutes to answer
yeah.
the question, please.
Yeah, so first of all, right now, I don't know all the different places that we, there's a lot of opportunities for growth in our Livermore from the 580 corridor and Isabel, with the 3,900 units that's going to be out there. And also there's a lot of opportunities with the vineyards. And then there's a huge opportunity, I think, on the east side of town towards Vasco and Greenville area, where there's a lot of industrial spaces as well. But to that point, as far as Pleasanton goes, I just think that is going to be an amazing project. Really, I really do. I think they're going to combine it with some open space along with a lot of affordable housing, and it's going to be a lot of shopping as well. So it's kind of mixed use type of facilities. I think this is going to be great for Pleasanton.
Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, very nice presentation. And we are honored to have John Marchand, who is also a candidate for the mayor of Livermore. Mr. Marchand, you have 10 minutes. Would you like a particular time period for a warning, or at the default 9 minutes and 30 seconds?
Good evening. I'm going to speak and then I'll leave time for questions. Thank you, Ronald.
Wonderful.
I'm glad to hear that your wife is doing better. It's heartened to hear that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak to the committee tonight. This election is about giving Livermore voters the choice for proven effective leadership, the choice for someone who listens to the community, creates plans, and then gets things done to keep Livermore a remarkable place to live, work, and play. Because of district elections, this year, 2 new council members will be elected, and I look forward to working with them with their new perspectives and ideas. I was elected to the city council in 2005 and was elected mayor in 2011. I served 4 terms as Livermore's mayor, and I termed out in 2020. Earlier this year, I was disappointed to learn that our current mayor, Bob Warner, would not seek re-election due to health problems. Many community leaders have asked me to step up and run for mayor again. I am proud to be endorsed by the Bay East Association of Realtors. They also recognize the importance of the quality of life. I am proud to be endorsed by the Livermore Pleasanton Firefighters Local 1974. They also recognize the importance of proven, effective leadership and good governance. I am honored to be endorsed by the Alameda Labor Council and the local International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Sprinkler Fitters, and Steel Workers. They also understand the importance of bringing high quality, good paying local jobs. I am proud to be endorsed by the Alameda County Democratic Central Committee. The people who know what it takes to do the job know that I have what it takes. I am honored to be endorsed by the entire city council, former police chiefs Michael Harris and Steve Sweeney, and former fire chiefs Ruben Torres, Stu Gary, and Bill Cody. As was during my previous term in office, public safety will continue to be the top priority. I am proud that in March of this year, an independent analysis concluded that under my leadership, the Livermore Police Department was fair and unbiased. It was under my leadership as mayor that our Equity and Inclusion Committee was formed. Because of our close collaborations, I am endorsed by mayors all across Alameda County and the Tri-Valley. We are getting things done by working together. Working with regional mayors and voters, we were successful at bringing in $400 million in regional transit funding and I was a founding member of the Valley Link Board, a regional transit system that will take 30,000 cars off the freeway every day and reduce greenhouse gas emissions by 100 million tons per year. There is still a lot to be done. The new downtown hotel and the sewer line extension down Testa must be completed if Livermore is going to remain a viable wine region. We need to keep Valley Link on track. I convened the first Mayor's Summit on regional homelessness, which brought together over 200 advocates to eliminate and reduce homelessness. The successful strategies that have reduced homelessness in Livermore that were implemented during my last term must be expanded with our regional partners, such as Mid-Penn Housing, Eden Housing, Interfaith Housing, Goodness Village, and Alameda County. I was honored to serve our community as mayor for 9 years. During that time, a new fire station and an emergency operations center were built. They will protect our community for generations. 3 new parks were added to the downtown. The first phase of Stockman's Park was finally completed under my leadership. More parking, our residents' top priority, was added to the downtown. A poll that was conducted at the end of my term in office concluded that 92% of Livermore residents surveyed agreed that Livermore was a great place to live and raise a family. I love Livermore, and it is my hope that we can continue to work together to keep Livermore a remarkable place to live, work, and play. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight.
Well, thank you for that fine presentation. We have 6 minutes left of the 10 minutes. Ms. Secretary, do we have any questions?
I do not see anybody's hands raised. I do not see anything in the chat. Oh,
More than you wanted to know, right?
no. We have Ellis has his hands up. Ellis?
Say that the lack of the Congress isn't being nice to us tonight. Mayor Marchand, thank you for coming to our club. Can you tell us what it is in your background that caused you to run for mayor the first time and get into public service? And what is it that got you to move out of retirement? What was the burning issue? Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that question. So I'm a chemist. And why did I run for public office in the first place? As a chemist, I tested the water at my house and found that the water that I received at my home was almost double the federal drinking water standards for a class of carcinogens known as trihalmethanes. But as a chemist, I knew that there were ways to treat the water that you didn't create these. It's a byproduct of chlorination. So I ran for the Zone 7 Water Board to improve the water quality for the region. I got elected. Within 6 months, everybody in the region got water that met the federal drinking water standards. So I'm a water chemist. I loved being on the Zone 7 board. On December 4th, 2004, there was an article in the Independent which said that there was a builder that was going to file an initiative to break the urban growth boundary. And I walked into the kitchen and I told my wife, I said, I got to run for the council. And she says, well, why? I said, we're going to lose the urban growth boundary and everything that we've worked so hard for. And she says, well, why does it have to be you? And I said, because I'm the only one I know that can win. So I ran for the council. Then when our mayor termed out in 2011, I realized that I had to run for mayor to maintain the momentum that we had. So I ran, we were elected, I was elected. Why am I coming back? This is the first year that we are going to district elections. So we will have 2 new people on the council. I was very disappointed when Bob Warner said that he wasn't going to run. But what that meant is that since our mayor is elected at large, that means with the 2 new members from the new districts, and our mayor being at large, that means that we would have a council majority with no experience in elected office or running a city. We also just hired in June a new city manager. So there would be nobody to carry on the culture of the city. And I was very proud that in March of this year, our police department was determined to be fair and unbiased. I worked for 10 years to build that culture, and I didn't want that culture to be lost. So I want to come back to ensure that the council members understand that they represent the city. They're elected from a district, but we represent the city and we work together for the benefit of our city. That's why I'm coming back.
Thank you.
Thank
Great
you.
answer.
And I do not see any additional questions. Anyone raise your hand?
Okay, very good. Thank you very much, ex-mayor Marchand. Let's move on. We
Thank you.
now have, thank you. We now have a candidate for the Pleasanton City Council, District 3. We have, in fact, 2 of them, and we'll begin with Julie Testa.
Okay. Well, hello. Good evening.
Hello.
I am the current Pleasanton City Council member, Julie Testa from Pleasanton's newly created District 3. My first term on the Pleasanton City Council was extraordinary. Together with my fellow council members, we guided the Pleasanton resident and business community safely through several phases of the pandemic, emerging with Pleasanton in a strong fiscal position. I supported small business loans, outdoor dining, and weekends on Main Street. In spite of the challenges of COVID, we have completed many important projects. The new fire station number 3 will be coming online next month, and our downtown parking corridor will add 81 much needed parking spaces next month. I am proud to have spearheaded a compassionate alternative response program to support our officers and reduce the more than 400 5150 mental health calls in Pleasanton each year. I have represented the city of Pleasanton on more than 24 regional committees, including the Association of Bay Area Governments, the Valley Water Management Agency, and the Tri-Valley Affordable Housing Committee, to name only a few. I have worked with city leaders throughout California to understand the economic influences on housing unaffordability and find solutions to the housing affordability crisis. I have championed a first-time homebuyer and down payment assistant program in Pleasanton. I also discussed with Senator Hertzberg and other legislators his proposed statewide first-time homebuyer program. Once again, our legislators would not fund it. I am a lifelong Dem, voting in every election since I was 18 years old. I embody the values of the Democratic Party. My voting record demonstrates it. I advocated for and voted to fly the pride flag at City Hall. I advocated for and voted to remove vaping products from the shelves in Pleasanton, receiving an award for my role in making that happen. I voted to implement our new Climate Action Plan 2.0. As a lifelong member of Moms Demand Action, I championed a Pleasanton safe gun storage ordinance. I fought for smoking restrictions for multi-family ordinance residences to address health effects and secondhand smoke. I championed police oversight and accountability. There was no police oversight in Pleasanton ever until I got on council. Requiring change to our SRO policy to reduce, again, the excessive 5585, which is the juvenile psychiatric hold. I have a lifelong commitment to vulnerable populations and volunteerism. When COVID created a risk for many Meals on Wheels delivery persons, I stepped up to deliver a route to our seniors. I delivered meals through COVID until it was safe for our drivers to return. The driver of my route asked for it back. He missed his clients. I was on the Pleasanton Human Service Commission for 11 years, overseeing the needs of vulnerable populations in Pleasanton, or in the Tri-Valley. I am on the board of directors of Tri-Valley NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness. For more than a decade, I was on the board of REACH, a nonprofit where I wrote grants and created affordable independent living homes for persons with developmental disabilities. I have been on more school and city committees and task forces than you want me to list. In a second term as Pleasanton council member, I will continue to prioritize residents' interests over special interest. I have 30+ years of experience and commitment advocating for Pleasanton and the Tri-Valley. I have worked hard to drive positive change for Pleasanton and the Tri-Valley. I do not accept donations or endorsements from developers or those who expect something in return. However, I am proud to have the Sierra Club California endorsement for demonstrating a commitment to environmental protection. And I am proud to be endorsed by those who know the work that I've done, including Tri-Valley Democratic Club's own Ellison Sharon Goldberg. Thank you. Pleasanton Mayor Carla Brown, Pleasanton Vice Mayor Valerie Arkin, Pleasanton Planning Commissioner Jeff Nybert, and District Director Zone 7 Water Board Lorene Green, and Pleasanton School Trustee Kelly Mokashi, just to name a few. I would be honored to have your vote for endorsement of the Tri-Valley Democratic Club. Thank you.
Well, thank you for that presentation, Julie. We do have 5 minutes time left. Would you be willing to answer questions? Should we have some?
I would love to answer questions, yes.
Very good. Ms. Secretary, do we have any questions?
We had a question that came in via email to the club. And the question was, and this is for both people running for Pleasanton City Council, so this is going to be asked of both candidates.
Okay.
Pleasanton is organized as a general law city. Would you support a reorganization of Pleasanton to a charter city? And if so, why?
I think that's a very important discussion that we should have. It is, the California League of Cities has talked quite a bit about the value of a charter city over a general law city. Charter city gives a lot of authority to cities that a general law city does not have. So I would very much like to have that conversation. It would be really require a lot of educating our community on what it means and what the differences are, as well as our council. So yes, I would support that, but it would require a lot of conversation.
Thank you. And next is a question in the chat. Mr. Wallace, would you like to ask the question or would you like me to read it? Okay, I'll go ahead and read it. It says, is it true that you have supported the city of Pleasanton writing letters of opposition to bills written by many of our Democratic leaders in the legislature, including bills by Senator Skinner, Senator Wachowski, Assembly Wicks, Assembly Quirk, and Assembly Lee?
Actually, we have a 5 cities legislative framework, and for the most part, those letters are written from all 5 cities and all of the members of those councils. And so, yes, I absolutely, there have been some bad bills that are not in the best interest of our cities. There was one that was just vetoed by the governor, I think yesterday, that a letter from the 5 cities went out, and there was a lot of concern because it would have taken away a significant amount of very important tax revenue that our cities depend on. So I was pleased that the governor did in fact veto that bill that had gotten through our assembly and complete state legislature. But you know what I do have, and interestingly enough, I have available are a stack because there's been probably 80 or 90 letters where we use those letters to communicate. And again, all 5 cities use those letters, as well as other cities around the state, to communicate what our concerns are to one-size-fits-all legislation. What would work for Los Angeles or San Francisco or Oakland is not necessarily going to work for Pleasanton or Livermore or Dublin or Danville. So those letters are used to relay those concerns. I have a big stack of them here, though, that are requests for signature, letters of support. And for the most part, these letters for support are about environmental things. This one is about electric vehicle charging stations and asking the governor, in fact, to sign that bill.
Second left, please wrap it up.
Okay, so I'd say there's as many letters in support of good bills as there are letters in opposition to bad bills.
Wonderful. Thank you for that fine response, and thanks to Dean Wallace for a fine question. Okay, let's move on to our second candidate for Pleasanton City Council District 3, and that is Jamie Yee. Miss Yee, did you want any warnings or the default at 9 minutes and 30 seconds?
Just 9 minutes and 30 seconds should be fine.
Well, that's wonderful. Okay, the floor is yours.
Okay. So some of you may know me and some of you don't, but I'm Jamie Yee. And you may remember me from my time serving as a trustee on the Pleasanton Unified School District Board for 12 years. That was from 2008 to 2020. I did represent the school district on the city's Economic Vitality Commission from 2013 to 2020. And I currently serve as the California Democratic Party Vice Chair for Northern California of the Children's Caucus. And I'm a member of the city's Civic Arts Commission, and I co-chair the Tri-Valley chapter of the Asian Pacific Islander American Public Affairs Association, which you may know as APAPA. In Pleasanton, we all agree that housing and safe and healthy drinking water and our public safety are priorities. But I also believe that protecting Pleasanton's quality of life, support of public safety efforts, collaboration and partnership with the school district, maintaining fiscal sustainability, and balancing modern city needs while safeguarding the character of Main Street are equally important. I am qualified and I have a proven track record of 12 years of public governance and oversight of $160 million plus budget, setting policy, hiring, experience working collaboratively with the school staff and the executive team. I have a deep understanding of our community, experience with constituent engagement, and an understanding of labor negotiations and the role of a city council member. I will ask tough questions, engage in open-minded, civil, and transparent discussions, and consider the community's needs and desires before voting. I've held many volunteer positions, and really way too many to list, including PTA leadership roles that led to 8 years on the state board. I was appointed to the California State Department of Education's Environmental Literacy Task Force and represented the school district on the Tri-Valley ROP board, And in 2007, I was recognized as a California State Assembly Woman of the Year for my advocacy efforts for school nurses and school health services and also mental health. I'm a Bay Area native whose parents moved us to Pleasanton in 1969, and I graduated from Foothill as senior class president. Professionally, I'm employed by Alameda County Healthcare Services Agency, so I really bring that public health perspective to the city council. I'm endorsed by the Alameda County Labor Council, the Building and Construction Trades. I'm also endorsed by Assembly Member Evan Lowe, Fong Lai, the Alameda County Tax Assessor, Pleasanton Unified School Board Trustees, Joan Larson and Mark Miller, and many more other community members. I do plan to live in Pleasanton for the rest of my life. So all of the decisions that are made by the city council will affect me and my family for the rest of my days. I am deeply and truly invested. Should I be fortunate enough to be elected to the Pleasanton City Council, I'll be the first Asian American woman to be elected since the city was incorporated in 1894. The last person of color on the city 75, which was 47 years ago. Our community is now 37% Asian, and it's time to balance the representation of our community. I'd be happy to take some questions, and I would be honored to have the endorsement of the Tri-Valley Dems.
Thank you for that succinct and wonderful presentation. Ms. Secretary, do we have any questions at this point?
We're going to ask the same question that was presented because it was for both candidates. And the question is, currently Pleasanton is organized, excuse me, as a general law city. Would you support a reorganization of Pleasanton to a charter city? If yes, why?
As Councilmember Testa said, I do think that it would be a very interesting conversation. I do think it would take some education of the community, but if the council was interested, I definitely think that it would be a worthwhile exploration and conversation to know, one, why we would need the change. Is the change better? And will it help the council be a better governance body? So I would definitely want to do some research and have a full round of discussions before making that decision, and also allowing the community to weigh in.
Very good. Any additional questions at this point?
I do not see anybody's hands raised. I do not see any other questions in the chat. No.
Okay, wonderful and succinct. Thank you so much, Ms. Yee. And that moves us on to Marisol Rubio, who is a candidate for San Ramon City Council District 4. Marisol, did you want any warnings or the default 9 minutes and 30 seconds?
Oh, 1 second. Sorry, I forgot my background.
There you
Okay,
go.
so
Wonderful.
yeah, sorry. So I think maybe about an 8-minute warning, if that's possible around there.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, very good. The floor is yours, Marisol.
Thank you so much. First and foremost, thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity to address your members tonight. I am a proud member of the Tri-Valley Democratic Club now for several years. As a daughter of a first-generation single parent who graduated with a Master of Education and taught in a high-needs school district for 30 years, I learned early in life to fight for a better future for my family and my community. That is why, as a single parent of a childhood brain cancer survivor with lifelong disabilities, I decided to turn our hardships into solutions for my community. When my daughter was diagnosed with cancer, I advocated tirelessly on her behalf against an unresponsive healthcare and education system. My determination to ensure her full recovery through my education in neurobiology enabled my daughter to survive terminal cancer and to receive a strong education. Equally, I dedicated myself to meeting our community's needs by maintaining an open door policy with our residents and by consistently striving to identify areas of improvement and viable solutions. As Director of Government Relations for the San Francisco Bay Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, I understand the economic challenges small businesses face and will support them during these unprecedented times. Moreover, with Chevron downsizing in San Ramon, we must create new well-paying jobs in biotech, renewable and alternative energy, and other emerging industries that will drive economic growth and offer our residents an improved work-life balance. My experience as a bilingual science teacher, health promotion officer, patient and family-centered care educator, and disability and women's reproductive health advisory board member has underscored for me the value of having strong, diverse community programs that reflect San Ramon's varied needs, foster our residents' interests, and support our children's educational development. I will advocate for robust, accessible family and senior programs, increase walkability to key businesses, and connect non-motorized biking and pedestrian trails to reduce traffic and promote community health and well-being. As Vice President of the Dublin San Ramon Services District, I applied my educational background in molecular and cell biology from the University of California, Berkeley, and in environmental advocacy as a Sierra Club San Francisco Bay Chapter Executive Committee member to protect one of California's most valuable natural resources, water. I have developed deep roots in the Bay Area and across California and have fought for social and racial justice, disability rights, and the environment. As mentioned just now, Sierra, as a San Francisco Bay chapter at-large executive board member, chapter delegate to the California Conservation Committee and Environmental Justice and DEI Committee co-lead and former interim chair and vice chair of the Sierra Club Tri-Valley Group. I am also the director of government relations, as mentioned, for the San Francisco Bay Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, which I have used my platform to help many Democratic candidates, win in the primary that just passed. 7 of 12 that I interviewed actually won in the primary. So that was wonderful news. I'm also a CDP AD delegate in District 16, an executive board member and co-chair of the Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Committee. And just recently redrafted our code of conduct that was approved in July. And I'm also a former Disability Caucus Educational Committee member. I'm also the co-chair of the Democratic Party of Contra Costa County Rules Committee and formerly the Issues Committee. I'm also the president now, club rep, and endorsements former chair and current co-chair for the Diablo Valley Democratic Club, and the national and state board member for the Elected Official to Protect America. And I'm also an SEIU 2015 delegate and climate caucus member to the Contra Costa Labor Council, and I'm currently serving as co-chair of a labor climate task force between several Bay Area environmental groups and the Contra Costa Labor Council, develop legislation that will help our county transition workers to renewable energy jobs. This is a pilot effort that will eventually expand to the Bay Area and beyond. I serve on 2 disability advocacy groups, as mentioned, one of them being as a founding advisory board member. One is a Natalie Project that serves to protect individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. And the other one is Fem Truth Youth, which serves to provide education and advocacy for women's reproductive health. And as you know, we are needing more advocacy now than ever on that front. As a Democratic DNC delegate for CD15, I drafted the 2016 DNC Disability and Caregiver Rights Platform. I'm also a guest lecturer on patient and family-centered care at Samuel Merritt University, FACES Summer Medical Academy. Now, as your city council member, I will support smart cities to improve our quality of life, smart growth to prevent urban sprawl, and investment, as I mentioned, into renewable energy projects. In fact, okay, I'm sorry, I just I received I think I mentioned this, but aside from receiving my degree at Berkeley in MCB Neurobio, I also received the PEO Women's Leadership Award at Cal and have 3 associate's degrees in German, Italian, and French. I am the only Democrat running for San Ramon City Council in District 4, the only elected Latino Latinx in Contra Costa County District 2. And as usual, I am not accepting contribution from entities that have historically hurt communities of color. I am endorsed by the DPCCC and Hayden, by this Contra Costa Building Trades Council, SEIU 2015, 10-1, and UHW, and many other unions excluding law enforcement associations. I'm also endorsed by Laura Brett from the San Ramon Valley Unified School District. She's a trustee, and 4 out of the 5 Contra Costa Community College District governing board members, and many city council members and leaders across Contra Costa County and the Tri-Valley. I hope to continue to do good work in my community to help Black and Brown Indigenous people of color and people with disabilities and their caregivers have a better quality of life through your endorsement this evening. To learn more about my campaign, volunteer, and/or donate, please go to www.marisolrubio.com. Thank you so much for your time.
Wonderful. We have 4 minutes left out of your 10. Would you like to answer some questions if there are any? Yes.
Sure.
Okay, Ms. Rubio. Jackie, do we have any questions for Ms. Rubio?
I do see a hand raised by Valerie Arkin.
Yes.
Ms. Arkin.
Yes, thank you. Yes, hi, Marisol. Thank you for all the information. Just wanted to ask you as well, who is your competition in this race?
My competition is a candidate that is running as an MPP. She's a commissioner. That's all I know, but she's a Parks and Recreation Commissioner for the past 5 years, I think.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for that good question. Any additional questions?
I do not see any further questions in the chat or any additional raised hands.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Let's move on. Unless, Marisol, did you have an additional
Go ahead,
comment?
Marisol.
No, I just wanted to say thank you so much for your time. Thank you all. Have a good evening.
You're very welcome, and thank you for your time too. And we now have our last but not least candidate, and this is Seema Badar. It was a candidate for Dublin, San Ramon Services District 5. And Seema, if I've mispronounced your name, please correct me. Seema, if they're unmute, please.
Hi,
The floor is yours.
yeah, you pronounced it. Thank you. So my name is Seema Badar. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak to the club today and for your endorsement. I am a proud member of the Tri-Valley Democrats Club. I'm also a proud registered Democrat, and I've always voted as a Democrat. I've been living in the Bay Area here with my family and my husband and 2 kids for the last 11 years. I'm proud to call Dublin my home. I have been learning a lot about Dublin, the city I call my home. I've recently graduated from the Citizens Police and Water Academies. I serve as president of the PFC at Kolb Elementary, where my son goes to school. I also serve on the board of the Muslim Democrats and Friends Club of Alameda County as the president. I have always put an importance on serving and giving back to my community. During the pandemic, I raised thousands of dollars of community funds and donated hundreds of meals to frontline hospital workers. I supported small businesses by catering the meals from the small businesses and restaurants that were struggling. So it's a community service has always been a passion of mine. I hope to continue my commitment to serve and help with the water crisis here in California. I currently work for a multinational advocacy, civil rights advocacy nonprofit as a fundraising and development officer. I hope to use my skills in development, community advocacy, and to advocate for clean and safe water for all of Dublin. I have made it my mission to be out in our community, listening to the concerns and ideas, and working to ensure that we protect our water resources for our future generations. The issues that I like to work on in my platform are investing in our infrastructure. I feel that it's very important that we keep our water clean and safe and affordable. It's a resource that we all share. And I feel that we need to make sure that I support the race assistance programs and all the, fiscal management that goes along with it. Environmental stewardship. I feel that sustainability drives longevity. Our health and the health of our environment are connected, and clean energy and the district's compliance with the Clean Water Act secure our welfare by protecting the life that shares our water. Also meeting the future water supply demands. The city of Dublin is growing, as we know, and DRSSD is, I feel, is keeping one step ahead to make sure that the district can provide potable water, not just now, but in the years to come. I support the district's plan to build new reservoirs and rehab the pump stations to increase efficiency. I'm really just honored to serve our community, and I look forward to your endorsement. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. That was a nice presentation, and we have 7 minutes left. Do we have any questions?
I see Valerie Arkin with her hand up.
Yes,
Ms.
thank
Arkin?
you. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much, Seema. Appreciate all your information.
Thank you.
A few questions for you. First of all, here in Pleasanton, we've had issues with PFAS, so those forever chemicals and that sort of thing. Do you have any comments about what you think are some solutions in that regard?
I think it's important to just continue research and to, really work to make sure that our water is safe. And, a lot of research goes into that. And I think that that's what we need to do, is to make sure that we're, making sure that the water is regulated and that that we're providing water that's safe and clean for everyone.
Great,
Very
thank
good.
you. And the next question I have is, how do you feel, what are your thoughts about potable reuse? Kind of what they used to term the toilet to tap. You have any thoughts on that?
Right. It kind of goes along the same lines. I don't know that much as to how much research has gone into it. I'd love to learn more about that. And, I'd love to, make sure that we are continuing to research on this and that, that we are really like making sure that we're meeting all regulations. And as long as that we are, that, I think it should be safe.
Thank you. And last question, kind of what I've asked the others as well. Who is your competition in the race?
I believe it's the incumbent, and that he was appointed last year.
Okay, very good. If that's no more,
We have another question from Ellis or Sharon. I'm not sure which one.
very good.
Their hands raised.
It's from Ellis. And I'm wondering what it is in your background that caused you to decide to get into public service and to run for office. What's your underlying motivation, your life experience?
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand the question.
It's saying unstable on my screen. Did that come through, Ron?
Partially. I think we might want to
I'm
rephrase
sorry,
it.
my internet is unstable. The question is, what is it in your background that?
Okay, you're cutting out. Can we have Jackie rephrase the question?
The question is, what in your background or what drove you or inspired you to run for office?
Sure. So like I said, I graduated recently from the Sidun Water Academy. So that is where I kind of learned about our water situation. And that's also where they talked a lot about us getting more involved and joining the board. And that's what drove me to join the race for the water board.
Okay, wonderful. All right, any additional questions?
I have one question, if I may.
Yeah.
Livermore in our country areas has some issues with groundwater because of old septic systems and chicken farms and things like that. Does the Dublin San Ramon regional system have those same type of issues, or is it all on municipal systems?
I'm sorry, I'm not sure about that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
They may not have any, I don't know. I'm just curious.
Right.
Yeah, maybe
okay.
not.
Wonderful. Okay, I want to thank you, Ms. Badar. That was
Thank you.
presentation. And at this point, we have had all of our presentations from our wonderful candidates. And we are going to go ahead and have a ballot presented to us. Now, Jackie, you might describe how the ballot is being presented and how people actually make their choices on that. Can you enlighten us on this?
Yes, I created a Google document. I have been, during this meeting, looking at all known club members on Zoom and chatting with folks that have household memberships to make sure these people are on. We did already validate several members. I think we have a couple members here. I'm not sure who they are or if they are members. So I'm just going to call them out to make sure I'm not missing anybody. There was, where'd he go? Maybe he's gone now. We had a Michael on earlier with no last name. Michael, are you a member?
No, ma'am, I'm not.
Okay, thank you, sir. And then we had an Amy as well. Amy, are you a member? I think that person may be gone. You will be receiving all known members. You are going to be receiving a ballot here in a minute through email. If you did not receive it, I'll let you know as soon as I send click here. I have to add one more person. And you're either going to vote yes or no on candidates that there's just one person running in a race. If there's multiple candidates, you will be given the option of either candidate. If you choose to abstain because you don't want to vote for either candidate, or you're not interested in participating in that race, simply do not vote on that section. So it will be one ballot with all of the candidates that we heard tonight. And let me go ahead and send this.
Thank you. Good work.
Stand by. It'll take me a minute to send this out. So go ahead. Why don't you move on to another topic and just give me a minute to get this ballot out.
Okay, that sounds good. Now, we actually have two speakers tonight on specific topics. First is John Rowe. If John, are you with us tonight at this time? John Rowe. Okay, John, we will check back later to see if you're here to do your 10-minute presentation. We have a second guest speaker, one who we had originally scheduled for last month, but due to the overwhelming number of candidates, we were unable to grant Chris Peoples any time. Now, Chris, do you have a connection? And if you do so, can you unmute and give us some video? And the floor would be yours for your presentation. Are you there, Chris? Okay, Chris is not here. Let's
ballots have been mailed.
Okay.
So if people can check their email, you should have a ballot. And again, this is only going to members in good standing. So if this is the first time you're joining tonight, you're not going to get a ballot unless you have been signed up to be a member of the club and are current with dues. So members in good standing, if any members in good standing did not receive the ballot, please let me know and we'll get it corrected.
Jackie, this is Valerie Arkin. I do not have a ballot.
Okay, stand by.
Okay, thank you.
I don't see mine either, Jackie. Kelly McCoshie, I joined a little bit later.
Oh, Kelly, I didn't have you, so stand by.
Sorry, I was messaging you, but might have missed it.
This is Seema. I also don't have a ballot.
Jackie, Jean Josie here. I also don't have a ballot.
Okay, we're getting to you all.
Okay,
Jackie, I don't have a.
You guys maybe recheck your email because it just, I mean, literally, I just sent it out. Let me see. I did send it to Mary.
I'm checking.
Folks should check their promotions tab. Mine was under my promotions tab in Gmail.
I always check there first.
You know what? I didn't have you, so hold on. I'm going to get you here. I think you did come in late and I was busy and didn't see you pop in.
Jackie, I still don't have it.
Okay, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. We're going to post the link in the chat. Again, members only, please. Members only. Let's do.
Good. The form was easy. It came through.
Yeah, if I can get it to you.
Yeah,
right?
it's good. Yeah, we have plenty of time to correct any lack of ballots. So we're going to make sure everybody gets the opportunity to vote.
And
Okay, I'm waiting to find it in the chat. Waiting.
Mary, quite contrary. It takes me a second to find it.
Okay.
There we go.
Is it Forms GLE?
That's correct. Forms GLE.
Perfect.
Good.
Does everybody have it now? Kelly, you see it?
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And to those who are
Got it,
questioning
thank you.
whether these specifically do go to the members we are allocating, if it's up on chat, and the form you do have to indicate not only your email, but also your name. So there's no question here that it's going out to these correct members that are current. It's a good system, Jackie.
Thank you. It'll be a lot nicer when we're all in face to face.
Yes, and we
Maybe you want to
hope,
talk about that.
and we hope that that will be starting in the October meeting. We hope that the IBEW hall will become available to us again. And they've been such wonderful hosts and such a tremendous asset to the Tri-Valley Democratic Club that we hope we can continue this fine relationship.
Human beings would be nice too.
What are those?
Who?
We're talking politics. Sorry.
That's good. Okay, now has everybody got a ballot? Do we have anybody that has not received?
So far, I've had 18 responses.
Okay.
I'm still waiting.
Well, there's 3 in our
I'm not
household.
sure that
so-
my response went through, Jackie. Jackie, did my response go through?
Stand by. And,
Yeah.
and Valerie, I know we did have your family get in front of the camera when we started.
Yes, and you know
So-
what? Other people that have multiple family members on, they need to do the same thing.
Right, okay, let's see who we got. We know Sharon and Ellis. You guys saw my husband in his jammies. You want him to come back in here. He went in to finish watching the Queen.
I missed it, darn it.
Who else will be voting?
I
Let's
don't
see.
see the link in chat.
I know, yeah, I mean, we need to just, anybody that's doing a family vote, let's see, Thad. I know you guys are together here, always together on this call. Do you mind just saying here, Thad and Phyllis? Can you hear me?
No, we didn't vote the same.
Oh, I didn't ask. Oh, Ellis? Okay.
Did you get a second one from me?
Let's see. I have, it shouldn't let you modify it.
We have plenty of time. We can just keep looking.
For some reason, it refused to let me put my email address in, and it substituted Sharon's.
Will.
Jackie, could you just read off the ballots that you have received back?
I received from Dean Wallace, from Richard, from Joan, Jamie, is that your daughter? I think you are on I had her already on mute.
Yes.
Robert, Dad, Christy, Rubio, Kansa, email Tricor, that's John, Seema, Jamie, Helen, Xander, Mony, Mary, Valerie, Alan, Jean, Jeff, Steve Dunbar, Alex Rubio, who is that? Oh, that's yeah, sorry. I lost my place. Makashi, I'm sorry, I'm messing up names tonight. Makashi, where did I leave off? Julie, Valerie, Sean Kumagai, Ellis, I have yours. I do not have Sharon's.
What about me?
I have Valerie, Jamie.
No, Linda Knapp.
Linda Knapp.
Apparently it only let us do, let me try Sharon's again.
I do not have, wait, I'm sorry. Yeah, I do see Linda here. Linda now.
How about Ron Lawrence?
Jackie? do you
Ronald P.
have
Lawrence,
the three From
PhD.
us?
That's me.
Who was that asking again?
Jackie? Valerie Arkin. There should be Valerie, Brian, and Nick.
I have Valerie, Brian, Nick, Richard Adler.
Thank you.
Yeah, they're still coming in. I'm sorry.
Well, glad we got Helen in. Do we have Mary Perner in?
We have Mary.
Good.
We have Richard Lee, Alexandria, Hinsky,
Okay.
S. Lashano. Part of my screen shows email and part of it shows the name. I have to keep scrolling around, so it's a little cumbersome.
Okay. Do we have Greg Bonato?
I thought yes, I do have Greg Bonato. And you all should have received, by the way, in your email, a confirmation with your vote, with your exact vote detail, if you want to validate the way your vote was cast.
Right. Review and submit.
Now, you cannot modify once you submitted it, but if somebody made a mistake and need me to delete it out so you can recast it, let me know before we close the vote. You would have gotten an email confirming your ballot.
Okay. I do
And
have
Sharon and Ellis, if you guys have trouble, let me know. I'll help you get that in there.
Okay.
Open up one email at a time. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to go and switch users, which means.
Well, actually, you can just use the same email. If the email is not going to, just put in a different name so I can see that it's unique. So use the same, you could use the same email and just put in this for the second, go back into it and put in Sharon.
I got the idea that I'm voting like 3 times.
Oh, don't worry, I won't let you do that. I'll delete them if there's duplicates.
Make up a name.
Okay, so here. There's another validate.
Jackie, I got my verification. It's correct.
Wonderful.
Good job.
I'm not sure that I got my both votes in.
Oh, I
So
see
far, I
Sharon.
voted 4 times.
Actually, I only see, I see only one
There's
Sharon.
your voter fraud.
Should we send the police to his house?
Okay, I'm going to have to sign off Zoom and go back in on my email.
With my name.
Could you do one on chat and one on email?
That didn't work.
I posted the form again, just in case anybody's didn't do their ballot. I have 31 responses.
Good. Now, did we get both Thad and Phyllis?
Right.
Let me double check.
Longtime wonderful members. We want to make sure we got them both. I know this is a lot of extra work for you, Jackie. We appreciate the effort.
You know, I apologize for messing up on this MailChimp stuff going out.
Not a problem. Thad and Phyllis, and I didn't hear Evan, if Evan is still with us.
Where's Evan?
Yeah, he did vote.
Good.
He did vote. I'm looking for Thad here.
Okay.
I don't see, I just see Thad. I don't see a separate one for Phyllis.
Uh-oh.
Right. So this is difficult when we have multiple members. Is it possible that for Thad and Phyllis, one of them, Phyllis could go and use the chat, which is the second form of input? Phyllis, are you there?
Seeing the candidates, so I'm not going to vote.
Okay.
Okay,
All right, that solves that situation. Okay.
okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Phyllis.
Jackie, I haven't gotten a confirmation, and in fact, I used the link out of the chat because I never did get a notice either.
Okay, let me, I know I saw you in there. Okay.
You did
Yeah.
receive mine.
Yeah.
You did, you.
Yes.
Okay.
Good. Thank you for checking in, Julie. Okay.
Let me just triple check.
What email is it going out on?
It went.
Is it TV Dems Media or is it?
It probably, well, the email would have come from TV Dems Media because it's coming from the shared drive, but then I just posted it in the chat.
Right.
Let me just, I'll send you in the chat here what I have recorded. So you have a record. I'm trying to find it here.
No, that's okay. That's all right. We're good. You can see that mine came through.
Yes, we have your.
Yeah, it did come through, definite. And I have a vote for all the candidates in there.
Okay. Good. Okay. Now, did we get Marisol?
Yes.
Good.
I believe so.
Good. Good.
Marisol, did you vote?
Excellent. Okay. All right, that should be it. And this is wonderful. Okay.
Are we ready to look at the responses?
I think we are.
I already looked at all the names.
All right.
Okay, so the summary. And by on the question of do you endorse Hayden Sidun?
Yes.
That was yes. He met way over the 60%. And so
Okay.
he was endorsed.
Okay, good.
The next one, who do you endorse for Livermore City Council? We had 75% endorse John Marchand and 25% endorse Mony.
So the endorsement then is for John Marchand since he exceeded the 60% level.
Correct. And I should have said Hayden Sidun got 96.3%.
Wow.
96%.
96.3%.
Congratulations, Hayden. Okay. Wonderful, Jackie.
Who do you endorse Melissa Herandez for mayor of Dublin? Yes, 100% of members voted yes.
Wow, that's good.
Who do you endorse for Pleasanton City Council District 3? 57.7% went for Julie Testa and 42.3% went for Jamie Yee.
So regrettably, we have no endorsement on that since neither of them met the minimum requisite of 60%. Okay.
Do you endorse Marisol Rubio for San Ramon City Council District 4? 100% said yes.
Yes, okay.
I should say 100% of voting members. So if you abstained, it's not, you abstained.
Correct.
And the last question, do you endorse Seema Badar for Dublin San Ramon Services District 5? 75% yes, 25% no.
Okay, very good. Well, congratulations to all of the candidates that were endorsed. Thank you very much, all of the candidates, those endorsed and those presenting, for a wonderful presentation. And we appreciate your spending your time and your energy with the Tri-Valley Democratic Club. We will be sending out notices, including a press release indicating all of those who were endorsed. So thank you so much. Do we have any questions, or shall we move on to the other portion of tonight's meeting?
Thank you for your support. I appreciate it sincerely.
Wonderful. Yes, Mr. Marchand.
Thank you.
I would also like to say thank you very much for the opportunity and for the support.
Okay, you're very welcome, Julie. Okay, let's see. Okay. The next portion of the meeting is Jackie Taryn Rankle, our wonderful secretary, who's just done all of this work, getting the forms, doing the verifications of that current membership, and tabulating our votes for us. If you wanted to give us a central committee update, approval of August minutes, and any additional issues or announcements that you might like to make.
Okay, first off, I posted the minutes to last month's general meeting in the chat. I'll let you guys peruse that, and if there's any corrections, let me know. I have not yet written up the minutes from the special endorsement meeting, which we held a week ago. That was for DA, and we did endorse Pamela Price for DA at that meeting.
Okay.
The Central Committee, we are starting our work now that there are the endorsed candidates. I will be sending to the club the endorsed candidates from the Alameda County Central Committee. They were posted last night, and I will start to work on, as my role as the UDC chair, in supporting the candidates that were endorsed by the Alameda County Central Committee.
And congratulations to you, if I can take just a moment, on your position as the chair of the Alameda County UDC. That's wonderful. We need you, and we appreciate your hard work in the TVDC and the upcoming UDC work that you will be doing. And I again pledge personally support that you may need. Call on me.
Thank you. And I will be opening up a campaign office hopefully soon, and having some pop-up stores with wonderful swag that I got from Angela. So we'll be trying to raise money for the Central Committee's endorsed candidates. But because I'll be working on that, as well as finishing up my role as PAC co-chair in the Central Committee, I'm going to be stepping down as secretary for the Tri-Valley Dems. So I wanted to make that announcement. And then at the end of this campaign season, also stepping down from the Central Committee as club rep. So that's going to open up opportunities for other members here. Whoever would like to run to be secretary, or do the website, or run the Zoom if we're still on Zoom next month, or even shadow me with the Central Committee, and maybe take on that role next year. So this will be my last meeting as secretary for the Tri-Valley Dems. I want to thank the president for all his support. And that's my update.
Well, we wanted to say that we're very sorry to see you go, but we certainly don't want to stand in the way of your stepping up and out, your continued growth that you deserve to have, and expanding your work and your political influence. We appreciate all of the hard work that you've done for us, and words cannot express how much I will miss you and how much I have appreciated your hard work and grace and fine manners.
Well, you'll see me at the farmers markets and such, either with the UDC work or helping the candidates of my choice. And there's several of them out there I'd like to help. So that's where my focus is going to be the next 2 months. Thank you, Ron.
And that's a wonderful focus, and we miss we will miss you, and we wish you all the best of luck in those wonderful endeavors that you're about to undertake. May your ship be full and sail quickly. Okay, let's see now. If we have either John Rowe or Chris Peoples online with us now, if you wanted to make your presentation. Do we have either John or Chris with us now? If we don't, let's move forward to any report that we would have from the political director, Ellis Goldberg. Ellis, anything to tell us or to bring up? Perhaps maybe something in terms of funding? Ellis, are you unmuted? Okay. Well, we don't have Ellis with us at this point, but we had discussed during the social hour from 6:30 until 7 some good ideas concerning funding for the UDC, which is a United Democratic Committee that we have our wonderful Jackie going to be the head of this, and she could really benefit, and the UDC in general could benefit from some funding. So there has been a motion, and I would like to make it, if we don't have it again from the floor from Ellis, because of technical difficulties.
I'm back, Ron.
You're back? Did you want to make a motion for the funding for the swag for the UDC?
Okay, first of all, I say we allocate $250 toward Jackie purchasing swag for the UDC at her discretion as to what exactly it's going to be, buttons, bumper stickers, or whatever. And an additional $200 go toward possibly renting a room from the IBEW. So a total allocation of $450, 200 toward rent, and $250 toward swag.
This is what was discussed among the members of the executive board between 6:30 and 7. And I'm strongly in favor of this motion and will second it personally. Do we want to take a vote, or do we have questions and discussions on an allocation of $450, essentially seed money to get started by purchasing merchandise for the UDC, which the UDC is a kind of an umbrella organization in Alameda County that would then be a place for all of the Alameda County Central Committee endorsed candidates to come and have as a central place for them to help run their campaigns.
We get in as TV Dem.
And if the TV Dems contribute $250, this would allow them to purchase and to gain merchandise, which then they would get donations for and most likely make money off of. So we're getting them started, and wouldn't be surprising if that money generated $500, $600 worth of donations to the UDC. Also, the $200 would help start getting a permanent space for them. And we're hoping that the IBEW hall will give us a good rate on it and has available a small space that we can utilize. So these are basically just starter funds, and funds will also be collected from the individual candidates and from additional sources. So shall we have any additional questions or comments on the proposed $450 expenditure?
So could you clarify the function of the office a little more?
Jackie, did you want to mention that?
The function of the office is pretty much a Democratic campaign office based on what the party platform is and the candidates that were endorsed either at the state level, the county level, and within the central committee, the people that were endorsed this weekend. So it's based on who got nominated and endorsed and who was up for consent in the central committee. That all happened this weekend. And then what we do is we'll be working with the central committee, either distributing door cards or knocking on doors or texting, but also setting up a place to exchange merchandise, campaign signs, things like that.
So this is a
I
working.
wondered because in the past, this is many years ago, there was phone banking going on at the UDC office.
Yeah, I think that there may be that type of stuff going on, but before we used to have to use the phone lines. Now everybody has cell phones. We might be able to do it a little more efficiently, with the type of calls like we've done with all of our current campaigns, on Zoom and using your own cell phone and computer to do it. I don't know if we need to necessarily go down to the Union Hall and have banks of phones. I think we could do some of that kind of stuff virtually.
Right,
Thank
and that
you.
would help keep the office space small. And just for those who don't know, there is a long tradition of having a physical space for the UDC offices, both for the Alameda County and also Contra Costa County. And I've worked out of both of them and helped supply furniture and equipment, et cetera. And it's just a wonderful meeting place. And we've actually watched debates and a variety of other things from those campaign offices. And it's just a good place to be a Democrat, hang out and work for your favorite candidate.
Remember saying that.
Ron, I think that we ought to mention that the UDC can only campaign for candidates that have been endorsed by the Central Committee. That includes John Marchand, Dean Wallace, Jamie Yee, and is there anybody else that I've left off here?
Liz Ortega.
And Liz Ortega, running against Sean Kumagai. Liz Ortega has the Central Committee's endorsement. So let's go into eyes wide open, no surprises. Some of the candidates that we endorsed or didn't take a position on, the Central Committee might have taken a position on. For the most contentious race, and we just had the candidates forum last week, there was a similar outcome in the Central Committee. For the DA's candidates race, they did not take a position, and we did not take a position.
And that's appropriate, Ellis. I think I briefly mentioned it before for those candidates that were endorsed by the Alameda County Central Committee. This is for them. And since we don't have any TVDC physical location and we don't have any campaign headquarters, I'm going to put my time and energy into utilizing that space and working for those candidates, sort of in lieu of having a TVDC central. This is a little broader, a little bigger, and it's an important part of maintaining California's strong Democratic presence. Okay, additional comments, questions?
Ron, that's a real good point what Ellis said, and that's kind of part of the reason I'm leaving, because I want to be able to work on campaigns that I really strongly support but I also need to work on the UDC stuff. So you have to segment my time. You have to wear two hats and they can't cross over.
That's right. And it's really difficult to wear three hats, so we understand that. Okay, very good. Shall we take a vote? All of those in favor of the allocation of $450 to the UDC, say aye.
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 All those opposed? Those abstaining? The motion passes unanimously. Alan, you will be able to allocate those funds, and I believe they'll go directly to Jackie. Is that correct?
I think they need to go to the UDC directly, right? I can get Ellis the address or Ellen the address.
Just give me the address and the amounts and I'll send it.
Okay.
Okay, and let's put some kind of an indication as to $250 for swag to go to Jackie, and then $200 that would be allocated for rent. But if there is no rent paid, we do not want that $200 to be utilized for anything else. It's specifically allocated for rent to make sure we get a physical space. Okay, so yeah, if you can indicate that on the check, two separate checks, one for $250, one for $200, and indicate what those are used for. Okay, if you have any questions, you can contact me. Okay, all right. Let's see, do we have any additional comments from our political director?
Political director.
Nope, you got my 2 cents already.
Okay, that's wonderful. That was a fine contribution. Do we have any reports from our standing committee chairs?
I have the treasurer's report.
Treasurer's report. Let's go ahead and have that, Alan.
Okay, we started out the month with $2,787.49. We had income of $620, which is from the picnic. We had credit card fees of $271.49. And there's
Okay.
something I'm going to fight with Square about that. We had we made a donation where the check finally cleared for Harder for Congress of $200. We had meeting supplies of $1103.
Okay.
The picnic, the only checks that have been deposited, and some of you guys haven't deposited any your checks, is $86.72. So that will increase, which leaves us a balance of $2,838.25.
Oh, thank you. That's wonderful. Yeah, I do have my check here somewhere.
I wasn't going to say
get that.
Oh, I have
deposited.
mine too somewhere.
I wasn't going to say that. But
Who has time to go to the bank?
Here it is.
you can do it on your phone.
Unopened. Oh, that's,
Alan, did we more than break even or come close to breaking even?
I think we made a couple $100.
oh, that's wonderful. We had a great time and we made a couple of $100. How can you beat that? And we did.
So next year we raise the price of the tickets.
Let's make it as a break even.
So it was a pretty good estimate of the cost, huh?
Yeah, we came out pretty good.
We discussed the band paying for their meals, and we said if we broke even, they wouldn't have to pay for their meals. Is that okay with everybody?
Sure.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. That makes sense.
No.
Okay, good. All right, any additional announcements or suggestions? We're at 9:03. We're pretty darn close to our goal.
I make a motion the meeting be adjourned.
Second.
All right.
Can I say in long live the king? I've been watching all this royal stuff for days.
That's right. And why do they delay the coronation for a year or more? I don't understand that.
Oh, I thought he
I
was
think he's on double special probation.
I see.
Well, in Tevye said it all, tradition.
Well, they're looking through Epstein's library,
Ah.
Epstein's video library, to find out if he should go off probation.
I see. Double secret probation, like Animal House. I like that.
Well, there were stories about him and Epstein and Trump,
Oh, yeah.
And
but we may never know.
Interesting. You know, I think it was 18 months from the death of Queen Elizabeth's father until she was actually coronated, so that there is a tradition of these long delays for some reason. And it's probably historically financial because at that time, I think Queen Elizabeth was the richest woman in the world.
Well, she may have been, and they got to put all the credit cards in his name now.
That's it, man. Yeah, all of the individual sheep by name have to be transferred over to Charles. I mean, they do have an awful lot of land and an awful lot of stock. But in any case, it's most likely an old financial tradition where they had to get all of that taken care of. But I think if you go back 300 years, it was probably like 20 minutes after the king died, is that the new one grabbed the crown, threw it on his head, and had some local priest say, yeah, you are the king.
That sounds about right. I used to read a lot of historical fiction.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting stuff why they have all of those delays. But in any case, it's been a wonderful meeting. We got a lot of good stuff done. Congrats to the candidates endorsed, and good evening, everyone.
Thank you, Nick.
Have a good week, you all.
You too.
Jackie, I want to talk to you at some point. But anyway, enjoy the week and the month.
Anytime, Mary, give me a call right now.
I'm not home, but yeah, I will.
Okay. Good night.